All right, time for another episode of the Sci-Fi Podcast. Sci-Fi Podcast, where a kid can be a kid. That's the theme song to the old Showbiz Pizza. That's what I think it was before it was Chuck E. Cheese Pizza. And for some reason, that theme song just seems to work. The kid can be a kid part really doesn't make sense. Maybe what it should be is Sci-Fi Podcast, where a nerd can be a nerd. There we go. I like that. I like what that has to say. All right, so here's the thing. The plan here was for me to every episode to be about classic sci-fi. But I had an experience today that I want to talk to you about, and it's fresh on my mind. And I know I'm violating the rules of this podcast, but I saw a movie on Netflix called Doom Annihilation. It is a movie, the second iteration of a movie based on the video game Doom. Doom, I played that when I was growing up. I didn't play it in school. Although one could argue with a name like Doom, in a way, we were playing that in school every day. But I'm talking about the computer game that I played on my computer. My best friend John also played it. We liked using the keyboard, not the joystick. As John would describe it, it felt like we were on the bridge of the Enterprise and we were using the keyboard to manipulate versus the joystick. Yes, that is as nerdy as it sounds. And yes, we actually had that conversation. Yes, be aware of this, that happened. So I'm going to get into, I'm just going to go through. And I'm also going to try not even talking about the Wikipedia for Dune Annihilation. Dune Annihilation. Now there's an interesting take on it. That Dune could use a little Doom. There should be sections in Dune where I can just go in and play it first person and just shoot things, and then finally action. That's a great. Oh, I love that. I think Dune could use a little more Doom. There we go. There's a thought. So I'm going to get to Doom Annihilation in a second. First, let's just go over some sci-fi news. I don't know if this even counts as sci-fi technically, but I guess they're delaying He-Man. They're going to make a live-action He-Man. It was all set to go, but then they're deciding to delay it. They're not sure what to do about it. The other big delay, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series, they're delaying that too. Everyone's getting gun-shy. I don't know. I think the most recent Star Wars movie came out. There was some issues of disappointment. And now I think anything with somebody holding a sword, they're like, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not sword holding. I don't know. I've talked about He-Man before. Huge He-Man fan. I think that the last time I talked about it, it was this notion that He-Man exists in a world where there's magic and science, which I find hilarious. I just find endless possibilities of a world with magic and science, that I can magically teleport myself anywhere on the planet, but instead I choose to use this combustion engine vehicle. Why do I choose this instead of using magic? Player's choice. Player's choice. But yeah, delaying He-Man, I'd like this. I don't know. Live-action He-Man, last time around, there were some hiccups. There were some interesting things about the 80s He-Man movie. They tried some things. There was there was a lot of love put into it. There was a noble attempt. I believe they ran out of money before the movie was finished, literally before they shot the climax. So they had to disguise that by shooting the climax with weird lighting, because the set had already been demolished, so they had to kind of reconstruct the set and do, they didn't have the final fight scene. That must have been very nerve-wracking. I mean, the final fight scene in a He-Man movie is He-Man and Skeletor fighting, and they did not have that. That's the one thing you need. That's the one thing you need. The one thing. Similar to how at the end of The Rocketeer, they're doing a fist fight on a blimp, and I'm like, no, guys, this is The Rocketeer. A guy flying around in a rocket. The climactic scene should be him on a rocket versus somebody else on a rocket, and they're flying all over the place. And they got up into the upper stratosphere of space. And then he falls, and just before he hits the ground, then the rocket turns back on, and he's alive, just barely. That's how you do the climax of that, not fist fight on a blimp. But I digress. All right, so I should also point out that I had a bunch of raw tuna, and I'm not feeling well. That was a dumb move on my part. Dumb move. Nevertheless, I will persevere, hopefully. All right, Doom Annihilation. So some background on Doom, the video game. Doom, the video game. The premise is that some scientists on one of the moons of Mars, they're experimenting with teleportation devices, and they inadvertently open a portal to hell. And all these demons come out. And my favorite detail of the Doom game is that all these demons come out, and they gradually begin to transform the base. And these demons, they have a really interesting sense of decoration. They're very decorative. They're these giant marble walls, like these wall-sized murals of a goat skull, but very well done. So these demons, they mean business. They want to kill all living things, but at the same time, they want to express themselves as artists, and they do a fantastic job. Really nice. It looks like marble 80s artwork. Very impressive. My mom was really into marble in the 80s. She might have bought one of the goat skull marble artworks. She might have back in the 80s. Not now. Now she's more into rustic country wood stuff. She's into wood now. But back big on marble in the 80s. Would have loved the marble sculpture of the giant demon with the bazooka as an arm. By the way, love that creature. A giant demon, a goat with a goat head, and a bazooka for an arm. Love that creature. Very, very deadly in a fight situation. But here's my question. When the demon is not fighting, that's got to be rough to have a bazooka as an... you can't... rotary phones, you can't, that's out of the question. And then there's the whole issue of what if you just need to tie your shoes or something, or you just need to do something mundane. If you're not careful, you're going to blow up. You're going to blow up the cabinet that you're trying to grease, or you don't grease a cabinet, polish. What if the giant demon from Doom, sorry. What if the giant demon from Doom has a cabinet? He needs to polish the cabinet because hell happens to have a very dry climate, and if hell had a very because of that, wood tends to really it's going to crack. So he's got to polish his cabinet. He's only got one hand to do it. So you got the polish, the bottle of polish, and then the rag, and he can probably unscrew the polish with one hand, and then what he's probably going to have to do is he's probably going to have to tip it over, and it's going to spill all over the rag, and then he's going to have to use that to polish, and then he'll have to get one of the underlings to clean up. It's just a mess. It's a mess. It's very inconvenient. Or maybe he can take the bazooka hand off and then replace it with a regular hand. I would imagine that Satan, with all of his powers, to create a demon with a bazooka for a hand, can also, without much effort, replace the bazooka with a regular hand. And it would probably the demon would be like, "Hey, Satan, I'm not fighting today. Can I get yeah, here you go. Thanks, appreciate it. 2 thumbs up. Hey, look what I did there. All right, just don't wear out. You're welcome. Off you go." So that's Doom the video. That's Doom the video game, if you will. But now we need to discuss the movie. Doom movie. So they managed with this movie to take every single sci-fi horror movie cliche and jam it into the movie. Every single one. The main character. Strong female. Got that from Alien. Thank you, Alien. You're welcome. Her name in this is Joan Dark. Joan Dark. That is her name. I mean, perfect name. Perfect name. I would have preferred Joan Depression. I think that would have been a better name. But that's ridiculous. But Joan Dark. I like that name. With a name like Joan Dark, you know it's a character who has a shady history, who is now going to be the reluctant hero. Joan Dark. Good thing it wasn't Joan Beige. She would have accomplished nothing. She would have been too indecisive. But at the same time, she would have gone with a lot of things. It revolves around a team of Marines who are stuck on this Martian base and they're fighting demons. Is there a Marine who's cowardly? Of course. Is there a Marine who is a really, 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 tough woman? Of course. Is there a Marine who is a really, really big dude who doesn't say much, who holds a Gatling gun? Of course. That was from Predator. You're welcome, Predator. We're glad we referenced that. Every conceivable... is there the nerdy scientist who knows more than he's letting on? Yes, there is. Thank you, aliens. All right. Fantastic. We're covering all of our bases. Now, this one, here's the thing. In both of the Doom movies, what they try to do is they instead of just saying, hey, we're opening a portal to hell, they try to root it in science. I love that. That in this version, okay, it's another dimension that's like hell, and maybe it's hell, maybe it's not hell, but there's some science involved. Their technology is advanced enough to open this portal to it. It's Event Horizon did this similar thing where it's another dimension that in Event Horizon it was like, oh, this is a dimension that's pure chaos. So it's hell-like. It's another dimension it's a bad dimension. It's a wrong side of town dimension, I guess. Even that is just I feel like I'm insulting the wrong side of town right there. I feel like I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate tweets for this now. For comparing it to the wrong. There is no wrong side of town. What there is, I'll tell you what there is, income inequality. And that's why you need to vote for Bernie Sanders. Income inequality. Wow, this got liberal really fast. Ho ho. What was my point? Yes, a lot of cliches in this. Fine. You know what? But that's the point of the movie. Do we want to see a Doom? Do we want to see a Doom movie that is Oscar caliber? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe in this version, in this Doom movie that's Oscar caliber, they opened the portal to hell, but it's more like Sartre and what he wrote in one of his books, where it turns out that they open a portal to hell and it's just a room full of your exes. But there's still the BFG, a plasma gun, and you can shoot your exes, but not before they say some biting things that make you regret the decisions you've made. There you go. That's the Doom I want to see. No exit. The no exit Doom. How about that? Love it. But I like these movies. I'm really depressed today, and I'm really depressed this year, and I'm really depressed this decade. And these are the kind of movies that get me out of my head with the depression. Was there a spaceship in it? Yes. Was there an artificial intelligence that one of the characters on the spaceship kind of had too much of an intimate relationship with? Yes. They got that from the movie Supernova. You're welcome. Like, I've already seen this movie, and I haven't seen this movie. Was there at least one actor in the movie who was a Shakespearean British actor? Of course! Of course there was. And I say this with all love and respect. But if the budget on this movie, if they had had like maybe $1 million more, the guy would have been Ben Kingsley. That's all there is to it. And I love Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley is a phenomenal actor. He is. He's a phenomenal actor, but he also made the movie Species. And I'm glad that he did. I am glad that he did. I love it when they get these Shakespearean actors to elevate this kind of movie. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than seeing a guy who has definitely played Hamlet. I almost feel like all the Shakespearean actors are like, okay, like it's almost like a competition. It's like, how bad of a script can you get and turn it around? It's like a drinking game with them. And Patrick Stewart's like, what? Guys, watch this. Watch this. What is this, Life Force? Yeah. Sure, it sure is. Watch this, everybody. Boom. Let's do it. I don't need to tell you the plot of Doom Annihilation. You've already seen it. You have already seen it. I think that's about all I need to say. Normally these podcasts have been about 40 minutes. This is going to be a shorter one. I don't want to outstay my podcast welcome on this. We're covering Doom Annihilation. I like the Sartre version. I enjoy that. That's all I need to do. Thank you.